Recording started. All right, good evening, brothers. There's 22 of us on the call this evening, which is very nice to see. Again, welcome to the next session of the webinar series from the Grand Lodge of Minnesota. As we've talked about before, these are not tiled meetings. These will be recorded, as you heard me start the recording here a few seconds ago. Please keep yourself on mute during the presentation. Well, this one's not necessarily quite accurate because there isn't much of a presentation. So just keep yourself on mute unless you're asking a question. It just helps keep the noise down a bit. You can use the space bar to temporarily unmute yourself when you speak. If you do have a question, rather not use the voice part, send it via chat, and one of the hosts will pick it up and ask the question for you. And at the end, we will be doing a poll about 5 minutes or so before we wrap up. Give or take, we don't have a set time, so whenever this thing starts winding down, we'll start getting the poll up. Oops. Again, the schedule. We'll have Worship Brother Justin Thomas back again next week, talking about art of delegation, which apparently he has mastered, since he was supposed to host this evening, and I've gotten stuck with it somehow. We also have Most Worship Brother Ray Christensen talking about Safe Lodge meetings, and the Grand Master will be doing a Q&A again in August here. Please, if you have questions you'd like to ask him ahead of time, email them to the mentoring committee, and we will make sure they are presented to the Grand Master. Or you can ask them live. It's your choice. The show and tell, as we saw in the e-Mason stuff come out today, the show and tell is up and running. Please submit your entry. It'd be a good opportunity to showcase your lodge. And now, our feature presentation. We are talking about Grandview and from some brother lodges that have done some early adoption. Brother Al, Brother Scott, and Brother Jeremy, which I do believe you are all here on the call or on the WebEx. It's a Zoom, I know. Anyways, you guys, it is all yours. Go ahead, take it away. I'm going to stop the share. Tell us about if you're muted, please unmute yourself. But Brother Al, I see you're on here. Tell us about your first impressions with Grandview and what the lodge did to help be successful, or are they successful, and is it helping your lodge?
To start off, I was very impressed with the software itself and the security they built into it, putting everything in the cloud, having all the firewalls in place so that brothers should not have to worry about the safety of their information. It seems like it's very secure. I've yet to run across any real bugs with the software. It seems to work pretty much flawlessly. I know they're still adding in more and more features as we go along. But my only issue is trying to get the membership to actually log in, set up their account, verify their information. I know we still got a couple of bad addresses, but I've used it to mail merge and print off some letters, and it's worked pretty flawlessly. I'm very impressed with it so far.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear it. Brother Scott, how are you guys doing with it in Anoka?
Yeah, we pretty much jumped on it as quickly as we could. Actually, I'll probably let Jeremy jump in here because he's done most of the work for our lodge as far as what's happening. We had already automated a lot of things, and we were pretty computer ingrained already, but we weren't cloud based, and so this is awesome. And if you're a secretary and you don't have to do those reports anymore at the end of the year, it's like a blessing. I don't know what to tell you. Same thing for the treasurers, for all of it. To just have one consolidated database and each lodge have control of their own little piece of it brings a whole new level to data management, and especially giving the members the ability to update their own information. Most guys, that's the first thing they do as soon as they log in is they look at their stuff and think, oh, that's not right, or this isn't right, or so that's kind of been my impression. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And to the getting the members to join, that is a little bit of an issue. We've we've like Scott said, we went hot and heavy with this. So I've actually started communicating completely through Grandview. So using the email options, everybody's email, if we have it, Grand Lodge has it. So like Scott said, we've been pretty much computer ingrained from the beginning. So using Grandview to replace our email constant contact and just giving that little reminder when they see those emails coming from Grandview. Oh yeah, maybe I should log into that and set that up. But that seems to have helped a lot. I think we're using the portal. It looks like we're at 28%, but it is what it is. But like Scott said, it's a godsend. We've pulled a lot of reports from here. I've been in it pretty much daily for the past couple of months and just waiting for the new stuff to come out.
I think one of the other things that's really nice about it, the mobile app is it's a little bit different, but it works really well. And it's another one of those things where, as a secretary anyway, you're sitting there and somebody goes, "Hey, do you know if so and so is still a member, or do you have so and so's email address, or what?" Yeah, well, give me one sec. Pull out your phone. It's instant. Everything's instant. The whole database is on your phone now.
Or what's even better is when they ask for somebody's phone number and you tell them, "Hey, if you sign into Grandview, you can look it up yourself."
Which, to be honest, I have gotten the response, "Yeah, but it's easier just to call you."
Right.
Right. True. That is typical. That's not surprising. We'll never change that, no matter what the technology is.
No.
Yes. So through Grandview, every member can look up the members of the lodge to check and see if they need their phone numbers or email addresses. The members can opt out of that if they choose. So if they want to not be visible to the membership list, they can certainly do that if that's their choice. So Scott, what you said you guys were heavily computerized before. What were you using before with then Grandview, and have you seen a benefit to this new system comparatively speaking?
Yeah, we had everything in an Access database, and we had a lot of Excel documents and Word forms and that kind of stuff. It worked. There are some things that this still doesn't do because what we had before was completely customizable to us. We actually had Bruce Sherman's email. I think there was a bunch of lodges using that software. That was the Access database that we had. So we converted off that. We kept it around, right? So we still have that, so we can go back and look if there's any mismatch of information, or what did it look like in the old one, or that kind of thing, or whatever. But yeah, as far as live operational, it's all been converted. We're all Grandview 100%.
Sure. And for Michael's question about the posts, you can put links in the post. Our last meeting minutes went out with a link to a OneDrive for those minutes. So we actually had a link that they could click in the post that would open up that OneDrive file for our minutes, so the members could approve the minutes, or so they could read the minutes that way. But yeah, we've used links for that. I sent the first post with a link to register in Grandview, because once again, everybody's email was in there, even if they're not registered. So they still got the email. It just made it a lot easier for everybody to get started.
So have you guys used this to replace the constant contact process that you had previously, or have you gotten rid of that now, or what are you doing for?
Well, we're in the process. So our constant contact, we use it for the OES and a lot of appendant bodies as well.
Okay.
So as far as Grandview goes, for communication to just the lodge members, like minutes and lodge events, this is where we're trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
As far as replacing our constant contact, until we get those additional member options communication options in here, we're not going to be able to replace it.
What additional communicate? Oh, for the additional people type thing.
Yeah, for the additional people.
Okay. Awesome. Questions from the rest of the audience? I don't want to.
Question.
Please, go ahead.
Has any out of the three brothers that are talking about their experiences and stuff like that, is there any advice or any tips or tricks to try to get that you found have been effective in getting people to actually sign up for it? And maybe are there the people who have signed up for it, is it a generational thing?
Actually, no, it's not. We've, when it comes to a generational thing, we've had a lot of older members to join. It's basically on your phone. You know, pretty much everybody has some kind of modern cell phone. There's very few people walking around with a flip phone anymore. They have to pay more money for those.
Except
So-
our senior steward, but we're getting him there.
Well, we're getting him there. he's the exception. But the only thing I can say is if you've got their emails, like Scott said, we were already computer heavy. So we had everybody's emails on record. And in Grandview, it's already got their emails in it if the Grand Lodge has it. Use it for your posts. Just constantly use it. And they'll see those emails coming out. And they'll eventually, sooner or later, catch on that this is a pretty good system.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think like with, like
Thank
with
you.
most things, and as more people start using it, more brothers will start showing it to other brothers. That'll start helping too, right? And the software itself, I think somebody had mentioned earlier, it's still a work in progress. The thing is they're very open to feedback and suggestions and what else would you like to see and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty impressive.
And they're still doing some data loading as well. There's still data being loaded in the backside, on the back end of this to get some of the information up to date, so that it has all the information in it from the old system. So.
I'm interested in the treasures part of the Grand Views. Anybody tried that out, or and how extensive is it, and is it helpful?
So we've played with the accounting tab a little bit, not much from the treasurer standpoint. I think we're going to have the discussion of giving one of our secretaries or giving the secretary treasurer access as well to our system, just because, yeah, the treasurer doesn't necessarily like computers. But for that, we've put our dues in. We've got everything for 2 years put in. And for the accounting standpoint, it is fairly simple when it comes to dues. There are you'll have to play with the fields, like a lot of expenses, they don't necessarily fit in fields. But for the overall accounting, it's actually a really good setup for it. And it helps with when they log into their member portal, they see if they owe back dues. So it's a constant reminder instead of the once every 2 or 3 months reminder.
Can you print out some kind of a report for lodge meetings of the different categories and the budgets and such? Is that Grandview?
You can print out reports, yes. As far as budgets, not really, not that I've found. You can see the income and outgo.
I'm curious because other programs are pretty simple. I didn't know if it was worth transferring over to the Grandview or not.
Like I said, speaking from the secretary side of the accounting tab, it does pretty much everything we need it to do. We just need to make it match what we're doing.
And I haven't had a chance to see the accounting side of it yet, from my perspective at this point. So I am hoping, since I am the treasurer for Sherburne, I'm hoping I'll be able to stop using the spreadsheet that I have been doing and get everything moved over to that interface instead of maintaining a separate set of stuff.
Now, to get other people into different parts of the program, does that take a lot of red tape to get through, or what's the process? If you, as example, you want the secretary or the secretary to see the treasurer stuff, or vice versa.
Well, I believe that's
Need
got to go
maybe.
through Grand Lodge specifically to grant additional permissions like that.
No, actually, the secretary has administrative permissions over the lodge itself.
Oh, okay. So we see the same thing the treasurer does then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Then there's some things missing in the accounting side.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not a full-fledged,
Yeah.
double entry type accounting package, but
Yeah.
the secretary is the one who's the administrator of the lodge itself.
Right.
And lodge can go in there and do stuff too. That doesn't stop them from doing that, but
Yeah,
that is kind of
the
the
officers' permissions, it seems like once they're assigned into that office, once they're installed into that office, they get their permissions.
yeah. If there's an auto enrolling or auto permissions as officers change, the secretary goes in and puts in the new worshipful master. He gets those permissions as the worshipful master has read permission to the whole lodge. Is my understanding of the permission structure.
Yeah.
The last word is with the secretary or the master or both?
The secretary is the last word in that one. Other questions, brothers? Okay.
Yes, just one thing on going back to getting people into the system. Almost everybody I got in our system so far, I've had so many emails go out, letters and stuff talking about it, and everyone's like, yeah, I'll sign up. And nothing ever happens. I actually, when I found them, and I said, hey, while you're at it, why don't you register right now? And it took a lot more face-to-face with a lot of these people than, just through a passive email or something to the entire group. It took more one-on-one to get them to actually get into the system.
Yeah. And with our emails, we also, like I said, we had that last meeting and we brought it up in the meeting. We brought it up in officer meetings. Get the officers in. Once you get the officers in, then it trickles down. But yeah, you're right. It does take a lot of, I'm going to say hounding people to get them in. But
Tell them if they register that their name goes in for a free keg of beer. Can we do that? Will that work?
You can do that. The lodge can do whatever they want. I'm not going to tell you if you're going to be successful or not, but you certainly can try.
Bribery.
Yes. Brother Al, you have anything else you want to throw into the conversation?
I don't think so. But I'm open for suggestions on getting guys to actually register their accounts. And I don't know if we tell them, well, you're not going to get a dues card until you do it or something like that. But you get pretty aggressive. But I think once they realize, they can get in there, and especially we've seen the guys moving all the time. And so it's really hard to keep the addresses up to date. So.
Yeah.
what's nice is you've got that dues card capability. So if we get to the point to where, you don't necessarily want to carry that dues card, I imagine eventually this dues card will replace the paper one. So.
I don't know if they have decided to pull that. I'm seeing Ralph shaking his head as no, it's not going to.
Eventually, someday, maybe.
in answer to that, currently that dues card is a short-term dues to be able to show that you are currently paid, but then it disappears like after 15 minutes. So it's short-term dues card.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It's a 5-minute
It's
good conduct.
valid
card.
for 5 minutes, and then you have to refresh the page. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it was originally designed for doing check-in. So you didn't have to pull a dues card. You can show your phone, have that temporary dues card, and it says, yes, you are good for this year.
So
Yes.
now, if Grand Lodge gets information on addresses from replies on the Minnesota Mason and such, that gets updated in Grandview?
Yes,
Yeah.
it gets updated by Keith. So he takes care of updating anything he gets if it's different from what he has in the Grandview.
Is there any flag on it to show that there has been a change, or does the secretary have to go through and see what's been changed or not changed? And
Why I don't know why I need to know if it's been changed. Usually I just need to know the current address.
One of the problems, and that's why we're looking at taking the e-Mason to the Grandview system, is using constant contact for the e-Mason, and people are updating their addresses in Grandview. They're two completely separate systems, and therefore the addresses sometimes don't get updated into the constant contact for like the e-Mason or any other publications that may go out. So it is important to kind of make sure people know that there are updates every once in a while. But otherwise, I think Keith goes through there every 6 months or so to check the contacts.
so is there any flag showing a date when changes are made, or are they just made and that's it?
I don't think there's any updated last on information in there. No.
So there's nothing to show when the last update was made on whatever
Not that I see, no.
change.
Actually, on the individual member, it does have a flag of last updated.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
Yeah, here, let me.
Yeah, it doesn't. Is there a spot where you can pull up any of those flags? Is there a report?
I don't think there's a report, but under the individual, it shows.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah, you'd have to click on the individual.
Yeah.
So is that date stamp just for the secretary to see, or is it on the general roster?
I imagine that's just for the secretary because of where I found it.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Interesting. All right. Any more questions, brother?
Suppose that Grandview will make it easier to recruit secretaries. It'd be any better incentive that seems to be a big problem.
Yeah, it always is.
It sure makes the job easier. I don't know if that'll help with recruiting, but
Those people that have had it for a number of years have said that it works quite well because the new secretary, especially if they're younger, do it off of their phones. And that makes it so they don't have to go to a computer or sit down and do the work. So they found that it made it easier to get younger people involved as secretary.
Oh, that would be good.
I'm a brand new secretary, and yeah, and I've used it off my phone quite a bit to help people register. As far as they didn't have their dues card with them, so I was able to look up their number, their member number, and stuff. it was extremely easy to learn how to use. So I don't think I think it would be a good selling point.
You know, I just had a thought. Once we all get back together and lodge again, you could ask for 5 minutes at the Leo's meeting, stand up, have everybody pull out their dues card and their phone, and show them how to register live. That'd get a handful of guys.
That would
on
get a
it.
few people. Huh?
I was actually going to do that before the meeting when we have our dinner, is round people up and get them to register.
All right, brethren, I've launched the poll. If you would please be sure to submit that. Still open for questions. I'm not, wrapping anything up here by any stretch. I'd love to any more questions you guys have. Comments, concerns, criticisms. Well, thank you, Brother Al, Brother Scott, Brother Jeremy, for sharing a little bit with the early adopters. I still, I think this will be a great system as we get more people on board and onboarded and being able to communicate this manner. It certainly will make it easier to communicate with the lodges. With that, I'm going to stop the recording.